What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if we will get a new Spyro game reveal at the Game Awards 2020. So this is continuing my coverage on the Game Awards. I talked about, my God, I'm getting close to 20. I will hit 20 at some point. I've talked about a lot of games that could or could not, ending up, we go through this discussion in this video, and we decide, would this game actually make sense at Jeff Keighley's Game Awards? What would they show there? And I thought Spyro would be a really good idea. Now, a couple of people have actually brought this up to me. I did a Twitter thing a little while ago, and I said, what are some games you think could be announced there? And Spyro was one that was mentioned a couple times, and I think there's kind of backing to that. I'm no stranger to Spyro. I played the Reignited trilogy. I played them back in the day, too. They were part of my childhood as well, but I've kept up on leaks and rumors on Spyro as well. I think I've actually covered it on this channel, maybe even on my second channel. So really quickly, before I get too far in, as always, if you guys do like this stuff, make sure you guys are subscribed here. Make sure you guys have the bell icon turned on. And also, again, if you do like this stuff, I do have a second channel. It's called Podcast Now Plus. If you guys want to subscribe there, that would mean a lot to me. Again, Podcast Now Plus is in the word plus, not the symbol plus. The link for it is in the description below, or of course, obviously, you could just search it up on YouTube, okay? It would be much appreciated, obviously, if I could have your guys' support in both places. We'll see about this. I think this is honestly possible. So, again, I have covered leaks and rumors on Spyro in the past. I feel like the last we've heard is pretty fair, confirmation that there is a new Spyro game going on. Which, by the way, and by new, I mean not just a new game being made, but it's new. It's a brand new one. It's not another remake of more Spyro games. It's going the Crash route, and that was always the plan. I've talked about that. I've talked about that actually for years. I covered the Spyro Reignited trilogy when it came out. I covered the Insane trilogy in June of 2017. I was on YouTube and I covered it there as well. So, these are things I think Activision has had a very, good grasp on, where it's there's a lot of remakes, there's a lot of remasters that have happened in the gaming industry over the last little while, but, their goal, I think, was to test it out. Do people still like Crash? Yes, with Insane trilogy. Yes, for Nitro Refueled, and now you get Crash 4. The scary thing is Crash 4, from everything that we can see as a community, didn't do so well in terms of sales. Now, from what we've seen, it's really physical sales that have pretty much been non-existent for the game, so maybe people just bought all of it digitally. I mean, me personally, I bought Crash 4 digitally, so hopefully the game did well, because obviously the whole point is remakes do well, new games come out, and you get more than one new game, right? You don't really put in all this effort for years and years doing all this to get one brand new game, and then you stop, and you're like, well, we'll go in hibernation for another 10 years, and we'll bring it back out. So again, what does that have to do with Spyro? Well, I mean, it's the same thing. Spyro is being worked on, or the remake was being worked on, and the remake, at least in the UK is sometimes easier to kind of track how sales did than the US, but remember, in the UK, I believe the Spyro Reignited trilogy sold better than the Insane trilogy, than Crash the year before it. So there's good news there. People liked Spyro, and I think if Activision did it with Crash, they're doing it with Spyro. So it's really not a question of, is there a new Spyro game being made? I think that's pretty certain. I think there absolutely is a new Spyro game being made from Activision being the publisher, right? So the question is, would they show it here? Well, thinking about it, even just a little bit, kind of gets you to at least a maybe, maybe even a probably, right? If you put enough thought into it, or maybe you really believe enough, right? But no, in all honesty, look at it. Crash Team Racing, that was announced at the Game Awards. It was announced at the Game Awards 2018, right? It was announced that December, and it came out that following June, right? It came out June of 2019. So, I think, and I've said this before, when it comes to the Game Awards, normally we're good for, however many announcements per year. Sometimes it's, I think in general, big announcements, it's probably somewhere in the range of 2 to 4. 2 to 4 big announcements. But there's smaller announcements, and in all honesty, sometimes the smaller announcements can be just as big. They can be just as big as the big announcements. I mean, last year, we had, the Series X, we had Hellblade 2, but, Fast and Furious was kind of, put out there by Jeff Keighley to be a big announcement. I would say The Wolf Among Us 2 was a bigger announcement. You know what I mean? So there's examples where these things, sometimes smaller things, maybe on paper, become bigger things, and vice versa. I kind of see that with Spyro, where maybe it's well, you got 3 to 4 announcements at the Game Awards, and then we have a couple others, and Spyro is in there. Spyro could end up outshining all of them. But in all honesty, with that talk, I have said my prediction, kind of a loose prediction for this year's Game Awards is, I'm not saying they will do this, but like if every publisher kind of got like a chance to show something, which I don't think again is going to necessarily happen, but I think could organically happen because there's a lot of games, a lot of developers, a lot of publishers that a lot of things went pretty wacky this year, right? Because of how this year was. A lot of things got delayed, a lot of things got pushed back. It's not that hard to imagine Microsoft goes to Jeff Keighley or Jeff Keighley goes to Microsoft. And we do know, by the way, Jeff Keighley has said this, that he does go to like as many companies as he can think of and asks, do you have anything to show or that you want to show? Some say yes, some say no. Some come to him, okay? So I could see Bethesda, Square Enix, EA, Ubisoft. Just keep going. Warner Bros. In general, right? Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, all of these, right? I could see how you could get that. Now, Activision is one I didn't say there, but I mean, you think of Activision, they're still doing their remakes. They had Crash 4 come out. Again, they've done this before. They had Team Racing or Nitro Refueled be announced at the Game Awards. I think it's definitely possible. Honestly, the way their scheduling works, I would almost predict that the Spyro game, I know we don't know anything about it. I know that's not announced yet, but I would honestly predict it's coming out in 2021, 3 years after Spyro. I mean, Spyro Reignited, it came out, October of 2018. So it's been 2 full years. Now, I'm not saying that, immediately they start working on the next game. In fact, I think Toys for Bob, right, the ones who made Spyro Reignited, they are the ones who made Crash 4. So it can't even be them that's doing it unless there's multiple teams there. So I don't necessarily even know which team or what team in general would be working on it. But I mean, 3 years by the time we get to next fall in between Spyro games, yeah, it seems likely that we would get a Spyro game in 2021. So, you think about it like that, you got to announce it at some time. Now, could it be announced on their own? Sure. Could it be announced in early 2021? Sure. But I mean, I've talked about, even in this series leading into the Game Awards, we've talked about more oddball things, right? We've talked about like Jedi Fallen Order. I'm going to be talking about like Battlefield in a few days. I mean, I've talked about some things that I think could happen, even like I'm talking about Dying Light 2. I mean, that game is basically extinct at this point, but I mean, it could happen. So when we compare it to some of the wackier games I've talked about, I 1,000% think there's a chance. There's absolutely a chance that this could happen. Is it me projecting it? Is this something that could very well just not happen? I mean, sure, it doesn't have to happen, but I think you look at the history that and again, I'm looking at the publishers really. In general, I think for the Game Awards, I mean, when it comes to smaller games, independent games that aren't necessarily constrained by publishers, I think the developers are more important when we're talking about relationships to Jeff Keighley and if they would show up. But when we're talking about this, like a Silent Hill game, well, that goes to Sony. What's Sony's relationship? When we go to, people have been saying about Gotham Knights and Hogwarts Legacy, well, that's Warner Bros. What history does Warner Bros. Have? So with Spyro, you don't look at the developer. I think you look at the publisher. You look at Activision, and you say, okay. And in fact, one final thing I'll say, didn't they announce Tony Hawk, the Pro Skater remake, 1 and 2 remake? They announced that during Summer Games Fest, which was Jeff Keighley's thing, wasn't it? So, I think actually, and I just remember that now. I was thinking, they did do Tony Hawk, and I was going to say, I mean, they've done remakes. They just had Crash, they had Tony Hawk, but they announced Tony Hawk in the summer during Jeff Keighley's show. So again, they're not strangers to working together at all. And again, not the developer. It could be any developer. It matters about Activision. Activision literally worked with Jeff Keighley this summer to talk about that. They've worked with him 2 years ago at this point for Team Racing or for Nitro Refueled. I think it's possible. I really, really do. No matter what, I'm excited for a new Spyro game. I'll, of course, cover it if one gets announced or when it gets announced. Absolutely, and we'll talk about it all the way till it comes out and then after that, okay? So, as always, guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think we'll see Spyro there? Do you think we'll see it in 2021 in general? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. I tend to do 3, 4, 5 videos a day, so the bell icon does, again, truly help. And if you guys want even more stuff on top of the stuff on this channel, Podcast Now Plus, again, the word plus, not the symbol. The link for it is in the description below, and you could always just search it up on YouTube. I do a daily video, more like news-type videos on that channel, okay? Appreciate your guys' support a ton, and I hope to see you all on the next video.